In this example, we're going to build on top of the data info example that we did previously. We're going to now show you how to index the information into an OMAR database. So we make a copy of the getInfo transform we did so we don't overwrite it. Load up your original getInfo if you've not already done so. And what we'll do is do a file save as, and we'll call it, let's just call it index for a simple name. And we should have the same parameters that we did before. And we should say OK. And if it already exists, go ahead and overwrite it. For this example, we have now the original getInfo transformation steps that we had before. What we're going to add to it is I'm going to index the output of that information here. And what we're going to end up doing now is setting up the OMS data info indexer. That we need a new connection name, so we'll do new. And we'll connect to a Postgres database. I have one running locally that has an OMAR database on it. OMARDB. Postgres is running on localhost. Database is OMARDB-1.8.18-prod. And give it a username password that has write privileges. And let's test the connection. So I was able to connect to that database and verified it. Hit OK. And what we'll do now, before we hit OK, describe some of these fields. We're going to output some results, and you'll see the record ID of the information that was indexed and the table in which it was indexed into. The indexing mode has add update enabled, so if it already finds it, it'll update it. If you don't want to update the information, you can unselect the update. It'll only add new information. And you can check if already exists. The reason why I have these as options in here is that each one of these require more SQL statements to the database before you actually execute the add. So if you know that this is always brand new data coming in, you can just say put it in the indexing mode and add only, and it won't do checks and things like that add further time to the indexing step. And we can change the batch size. I think usually a typical good batch size depends, I guess, also on your installation and so forth. Your database setup is a batch size of about 20, but just know that this is transactional. So if in, let's say, the 18th record failed, then the previous 17 are rolled back and the commit fails. So if anything fails within that batch, then your entire batch will not be committed to the database. So for this example, just leave it as 1. You can get more efficient if you put like 20, but I'll just leave it as is. You can also use a repository field name, an input field that will define the repository. If we want to, we can unselect the dir name and use the dir name as the repository name. But in this case, we'll just leave it blank for this example. When we hit OK, it's going to verify that the database connection that you have has all the required tables in order to do the insert. So we hit OK, validates it, and no error messages, so we're good. To show the example, what I'm going to do right now, just so I don't have very many fields on the output, make it easily visible to you, we'll just show the results. So let's go here, and I'm only going to show the table ID and the table name and hit OK. Once you're done, make sure you hit save by hitting File, Save, or Control S, and highlight your last step, and we'll preview. Whoops. And we'll go ahead and launch it for everything. And there goes our result. If it was invalid, you'll see a negative value for the ID for each one of those records. Since they're positive values, it shows you the IDs of the information that was inserted. And it shows you the ones that we're unable to insert at this time. Now we'll hit close. Close. And that concludes our indexing example.